crypto, but not trading. Specifically about Bitcoin, but more importantly, about Litecoin, right? Bitcoin's kid brother, if you will, or the silver to Bitcoin's gold, as it's often known. And the reason for that is very simple, right? Bitcoin is the 500-pound gorilla in the crypto space, the most valuable one, the one with the most action on it in terms of use, right? The one with the busiest network, one with the most transactions of value, and but Litecoin is designed to be basically a test bed, right? So whatever would be a thing that might happen on Bitcoin would usually be tested on Litecoin first. That was the purpose of the creation of Litecoin by Charlie Lee back in the day, right? And once it did a majority of the things that Bitcoin developers thought needed to be done, people kind of started to, as the youth say, fade it, right? They don't see its purpose or value anymore. They think, it's just another also ran. Well, here's the thing. It is still a top 20 coin, right? Last I looked, I think yesterday or something, it was like number 19. Here's something else about Litecoin, right? Which I mentioned in previous videos. There's only a max cap of 84 million Litecoin, right? There's 21 million max cap Bitcoins. There's only 84 million max cap Litecoins, right? So no, it's not a one-to-one, one Litecoin per Bitcoin thing. There's 4 Litecoin per Bitcoin. Do you realize what the price ratio is? Again, as a trader, we don't care about price, but I'm not talking about trading. Do you realize what the price ratio is of Litecoin to Bitcoin? Right? Like last I looked, Bitcoin was like, between 50,000 and 58,000 and 60,000, right? I think it's like right now, last I looked, is like around 58,000, half hour ago or so. And Litecoin's like, it was like $64 yesterday. I honestly didn't even look at it today, but again, I don't care about the price right now. What I'm telling you is the price of Litecoin is like 1.25% or something of the price of Bitcoin. It is significantly down from its all-time high in the price of Litecoin to Bitcoin, right? The LTC BTC price is significantly down from its all-time highs. But even so, it's always been relatively cheap. Right? It's always been in like the single digits, pretty much, compared to Bitcoin in terms of the price ratio, in terms of the percentage, right? And why? Well, because people want the shinier object. But here's the thing. You can own, a number of units of Litecoin for, you can own like a Litecoin for like, $64. And you can own a Bitcoin for like 60 grand, right? But there's not 1,000 times more Litecoin than there are Bitcoin. So when people wake up to the fact that there's really not much Bitcoin left for them to buy, and Litecoin is built on the exact same core code as Bitcoin, right? It uses the same protocol, same everything. Transactions are faster, right? Mining spits out 4 times as much Litecoins as Bitcoins. There's a halving every 4 years on Litecoin, just like there is on Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, it started a little bit later than Bitcoin, but not that much later, a couple years or so. So it's not like Litecoin is going to be just going away, right? It's decentralized still more than Bitcoin because it doesn't have an ETF, right? So it doesn't have all the attention yet of all the big banks and governments and central banks and huge whales. A bunch of whales had a bunch of Litecoin. Many of them have since long since dumped it. Some still hold, like real OGs still hold Litecoin. but there's still plenty of Litecoin to go around, relatively, compared to Bitcoin, available to be bought on the market. And it is far, far cheaper. And you can still make significant gains on it by trading it, because it's certainly liquid enough, right? And I'm not here to pump it or tell you, oh, you need to go out and get some. I don't care if you do or don't. I really don't, right? I'm not here for that, right? But if you consider all of the features that exist on Bitcoin, right? It's uncensorable, it's divisible, mobile. It's it's mobile. You can carry it with you. It's portable. You can cross borders with it. Right? You can memorize your seed phrase, take it with you wherever you want. It's divisible. Right? It's got all the same features as Bitcoin. There's just 4 times as many coins, and the cost is like 1.25%. Right? That's really the only difference. Oh, you can tell me, oh well, there's more network nodes running Bitcoin. Okay, first of all, most people who are running Bitcoin miners are also running Litecoin miners. Okay, if you're running a Bitcoin farm and you're not running Litecoin mining software, it doesn't make any sense, because for a significantly lower amount of energy, you can mine Litecoin for a much lower price than you can mine Bitcoin, because it requires less energy at the moment to mine Litecoin, and you get 4 times as many in your block rewards than you would if the periods were matched up perfectly the same as you would Bitcoin, right? So for example, when the original Litecoin blocks were mined, they were mining at a rate of 200 LTC per block, right? And then after that halving, it dropped down, and Bitcoin was obviously at 50 in the original 4-year period. And then after the first 4-year period, Bitcoin dropped down to 25, and Litecoin dropped from 200 to 100 Litecoin per block, right? So for miners, they can still collect 4 times as much Litecoin as they can Bitcoin. And yes, okay, the value of a Bitcoin is obviously, many times more that of a Litecoin. Again, Litecoin is only like 1.25% the price of Bitcoin, but there's only 4 times fewer Bitcoin than there are Litecoin, which means Litecoin is also a scarce asset. There's only 84 million of these things. So if every millionaire on earth wanted to own a Litecoin, yeah, okay, maybe they could own one. And then people who have like hundreds of thousands of dollars of assets could also own, one, right? But pretty quickly, not everybody who has hundreds of thousands could own one, right? And if you add up all the billionaires and millionaires and just the top people who have, who are close to being millionaires, they would not be enough for them to own it. And what do you think will happen when there's no more Bitcoin available? Because all the whales already own it. And millionaires realize, wait a minute, there's something else that's just like Bitcoin and is extremely undervalued at the moment and has been around for a very long time and has demonstrated that it's a very strong test bed for the Bitcoin core. And it's been delivering on its promise of being a strong test bed for the Bitcoin core since its inception. Therefore, it has good resilience and a likelihood of surviving the next 10, 15 years, just like Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen when people realize the value of that scarcity is significantly undervalued? They're going to buy it, is what's going to happen. What do you think happens when people buy more than there is available? When supply does not meet demand, price go up. All right? Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. Cheers. Happy trading.